He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Hi, everybody. Anita Krishna here with you. If you are new to my channel, I was a newscast director for mainstream news for about 24 years of my life. So I've worked for most of it working for Global, some for CTV, and some for City TV. And I worked in radio. So I worked for mainstream news for my entire career. And nowadays, I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. And nor do you need to anymore, because this administration in the US has completely revolutionized what TV is. Trump has shown you don't need him. And I was thinking I can't let this weekend pass without giving some comments on this absolutely historic, transparent spat that happened in the Oval Office between Zelensky and Trump and Vance and the whole crew that you saw there, Marco Rubio and everyone else. There was a Ukrainian ambassador there who was like, "Oh my God," like she was doing this to her head when Zelensky was talking. It was quite funny. But the transparency of that, I've never seen anything like that. And it just shows that you will not see on Global National here or any sort of mainstream news a good transparent version of what actually transpired. You will just see cut up clips to forge a bias. And you kind of think, whose side are you on? Why are you so much on Zelensky's side? And this is what I think. I titled this video, "He's Not the Messiah," because that's how he's been treated for years and years, Zelensky. And I think that he is believing his own hype. So, first of all, he goes around. I'm going to talk about his outfit in a second, but the media spins it as big bad Putin going after little Zelensky, who's defending Ukraine, and little Ukraine is the David and Putin is the Goliath. When they don't talk about, I'm not saying that Putin is a pussycat. I mean, Chechnya and whatever all else he did, but the whole point is you are not supposed to expand NATO. NATO is not supposed to go further east, and they keep pushing it further east and further east. And what do you think Putin's going to do? He's not a pussycat. He has to defend what these treaties uphold, what the Minsk Accord upholds. I mean, he has to. You can't be pointing missiles at Russia and expect him not to do something about it. And so whenever they say he invaded unnecessarily, or he went and invaded a sovereign country, that's complex. That's a complex issue. But Zelensky goes around dressed in his little cargo-y outfit, like as if he's just come from up the trenches. And all the world leaders, especially European leaders, Canadian leaders, all kind of kiss his ass because it's the virtuous thing to do, to kiss his ass. Like Ukraine is the only war-torn country that anybody cares about. There's wars all over the place. I don't see anybody giving a shit about that and saying, I stand with Yemen. I stand with, whatever, Palestine or wherever the middle, wherever anything else goes. Nobody changes their Facebook status for that. It's all just for Ukraine because the media told you to do that. The media switched from COVID to Ukraine like that, and everybody ate it up. So, and including Zelensky. So everywhere he goes, he's almost treated like a messiah by other world leaders. Oh, poor Zelensky, trying to defend the Ukrainian people, trying to defend democracy. There is no democracy in Ukraine. There's no elections. The opposing leader, they've locked him up somewhere, and they completely repress him. The Ukraine is a disaster under Zelensky, and Zelensky just showed himself after having this meeting with Trump that he doesn't have the maturity, the temperament, and or the negotiation skills to be ready for peace. Okay, so anyway, I was at work and I was watching a little bit of this video on Forbes. And if you do not watch the whole thing, the whole 45 minutes, you are doing yourself a disservice if you only watch news media clips. But anyway, I was at work. I work in a clinic in the daytime. And I was watching a bit of Trump Zelensky. And this one patient came in. She's about 30 something. And I knew she was from Europe somewhere, but I wasn't quite sure. So I thought, okay. And I said, oh, Trump and Zelensky are talking. And she went, I am Ukrainian. And I went, oh, bingo, let's see. And then I said to her, He's still not wearing a suit. He's at the White House, but he's not wearing a suit. And this woman said to me, he is in costume. He is in costume. And I was like, damn straight, he is in costume. And then she stood up and she said, he's actor. You do know he's an actor. I said, yes, I know. I know that he was an actor in a reality show playing the president, and then he became president. And she's like, nobody knows this. I feel like lots of people know this, but anyway, she goes, nobody knows this because of all the propaganda. And then she said, this war is stupid. We are not allowed to have elections. We cannot vote him out. We're not allowed to have any democracy, is what she started to say. And then she stood up out of her chair and she started to walk towards me. This girl never talks. And then she was like, my grandfather is Russian. He is Russian, born in Russia. He fought against the Nazis. And then she wanted to talk more, and she was starting to talk a bit about all the propaganda and how people are so misinformed. And then the therapist came out, so she had to go into her treatment. So I couldn't talk to her anymore. But that made me think about costumes. I always thought that Zelenskyy was like in a costume. And I want to show you this clip in case you haven't seen it from that meeting, that fateful day.
For President Zelenskyy, why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such. I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one. Maybe something like yours. Yes. Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you.
President Trump.
And that is a bit embarrassing to be called out for how you are dressed, but he continues to want to dress like that. He continues to want to be like that. And for him to say, I will wear costume, like, is insulting every man sitting there wearing a suit and tie. And that's what I thought when I saw that. I'm like, you got a lot of nerve sitting there saying you are all in costume when you are the one going around begging for money. You understand what I mean? And actually Trump, he was quite nice. Like he has a very sympathetic side. He did say, you know what, I like your clothes, because Zelenskyy wasn't in like combat fatigues. He actually was dressed up for him like that black top that he had and trousers. That was for him dressed up. And so Trump was nice to him. He tried to, I would do the same thing. I'd be like, oh, no, you look okay. Like, just to make someone feel better, because it's just kind of awkward. But it's not worth it with a guy like that. See, the thing is, Zelenskyy is in the position where he needs everybody's money, but he seems to want to go on in perpetuity. There's no end in sight. And Trudeau just promised him more money. Look at this.
We're also dispersing the first installment of the $5 billion in assistance to Ukraine.
Why are you continually giving money to him? And Zelenskyy is sitting there, cap in hand, as he does everywhere he goes, asking for money. It's ridiculous. He's like a high school student, but he's actually like a 21-year-old kid that has a part-time job but still needs their parents' money to afford all their bills, and just keeps demanding it. You must just keep giving it to me. You must keep giving it to me, which he actually said at this Oval Office meeting.
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States president will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes, and Putin.
Did you hear that? This is crucial for us. This is important for us. You cannot go on without him. You don't have the arms. Mind you, you don't have the soldiers either, but you have nothing unless you have Canadian, European, and U.S. support. You have lost this war, and he cannot concede defeat. You have to be a warmongering psychopath to continue this bloodshed.
Points, if we speak about business and investment,
you haven't fixed this problem with billions of dollars, then you're not going to fix it. But there was like that raw earth deal. Like he wanted some of the minerals and the raw earth in Ukraine. Here he talks about Europe, Zelenskyy.
You use for LNG, we use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they have our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President.
They gave a lot, but it was like borrowing, whereas US's donation or contributions were considered a grant. So I find he's also being contradictory towards Trump sitting right there.
Really, they did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No,
Much less.
no,
He's debating him,
no.
Okay.
Okay.
which is fine, but numbers don't lie, so pull up the numbers. I mean, they're all trying to be cordial. You can see they're all laughing, so.
But Mr. President,
Now, in the background, you can hear Miss Caitlin Collins from CNN, and I love the way that Trump dissed her. You know, like, whose side are you on? What are you, Zelensky's cheerleader or something? Or are you part of the neutral press? And it's clear that you are not part of the neutral press. And she's always trying to get in and ask a question like it's her show. It ain't your show. You're in a room full of other reporters. Know your place.
right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots? What would
I
you
just
do
told
then?
you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions.
why you have confidence that Putin won't violate
Focus
a
on
deal?
surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive.
People will ask
let's
why you have
go.
confidence Putin won't violate a deal.
Are you listening, girl? Are you listening, girl? Look at her. Just ignoring, oh God, ignoring that. That was such a good roast. And I don't know about you, but there are pictures online. I mean, he cannot get any soldiers to fight. Some of the men he's trying to get to fight are like 45 years old. They don't want to fight. And I actually saw a bunch of video of men being taken to be recruited in the army. And I'm not saying convinced with nicely or conscripted. They are like taken and pulled into vans and almost man-napped, not kidnapped. Do you know what I mean? They're actually taken by force to fight in the army. But here's the part where I thought the temperature got turned up. And it was almost a bit like, you know, a father-son type of thing, right? Because if I was at some meeting with my adult kid, I actually work with my kid at the clinic, but if we had some big meeting and my kid made a very good, solid point, I think that would pump me up to be like, yeah, and I would start to go in mama bear defensive mode a little bit, and I would start to be strong too. And I think that's what Trump did. He's like, okay, JD Vance just pointed something out that you have never acted grateful. You're sitting there arguing, Zelensky, that you want security guarantees because you're not sure if Putin will agree to a ceasefire. Actually, Putin did agree to a ceasefire, and you guys reneged on that. In 2022, there was a peace deal. Putin himself has talked about this. Other commentators, other journalists have talked about this, that Russia said, leave Crimea, leave the Donbass alone. Ukraine, you can even join the EU if you want, which is amazing that he even said that, because he recognized that that would be economically viable for Ukraine. You know, reduce your weapons. That was part of the deal. Reduce the military, and let's have a peace deal. And this was in 2022, I believe in March. And Boris Johnson and some others were like, don't sign this deal. And so they didn't sign this deal. That's so stupid these people are. They don't value anybody's life. Your life means nothing. They don't care if you send your sons or daughters to die. They don't care if you send your father to die. You know, they don't care. So I'm glad that JD turned up the volume.
But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden, of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So He occupied it, our parts, big parts of Ukraine. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and
Well,
2014.
2014.
Yeah. So he
I
killed.
was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but-
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed
He's not talking about the 22 one, though. There was another one. Why not talk about that one that you refused to sign?
with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong,
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this
Here's
in
where
front
it
of the
turns.
American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for
Have you
trying to
ever
bring
been-
an end to this
have you
conflict.
ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a prop.
Oh my God, Zelensky. You are asking them for help. They don't have to help you. You don't sit. What, is Ukraine the only place in the world that has problems? You've been given billions of dollars, money that you can't even account for. How come you haven't fixed your problem with billions and billions of dollars? And you want more? And you're sitting there with the audacity to shake your head? Have you ever been to Ukraine? No, I haven't, but I've seen the footage also. Does the footage lie?
Propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems
What?
bringing people into your
No,
military?
we have
And
problems.
do you think that it's
I will
respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval
I
Office of
will
the United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your
A
country?
lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all,
It's
during the
condescending.
war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God
You don't-
bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will
Don't-
not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
I'm not
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right
From
about
the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was-
have the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards. But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
That's right.
You're
Thinking about-
gambling with
what are you
World
thinking
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said
I'm wearing
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the
What's-
United
what
States
you're
of
speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
That's such a good point. He did go to Pennsylvania and went to some armament factory or something, and he only went with all Democrats, Biden and them. And he sits there and goes, "Do you know what you're talking about? You have nice ocean between. Come on."
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of trouble.
Actually, I think that was a language problem when he said you speak loudly. I think he meant to say you speak out loud or you're speaking very openly, but I don't think he meant loud in terms of volume, but whatever. That's just a language thing. I'm not trying to defend Zelensky, but yeah.
The country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not
You
winning
know?
this.
I,
You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your president.
military equipment.
You
And you-
voted.
Look, he's arguing. You voted for your president. We've been alone. You have never been alone. You've been cradled like a baby for the whole woke world, endlessly taking money from our taxpayers. And he's sitting there going, you voted for him. You voted for him. He is completely ungrateful.
Men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't
You
have our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this, I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of
Except
times
that
thank
there-
you
except
to
that-
American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on
I
over
understand,
there.
sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't-
you're
Please.
running
Listen,
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting
Of
killed.
course, we want to stop the war.
But you're
I
saying you
said-
don't want a
But I
ceasefire.
said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire
guarantees.
because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire. What
They
they
want a
say.
ceasefire. They don't like you, a lot of the people. But I found that riveting. I found that transparent. We have never seen anything like that. I've never seen Zelensky talk so much in my life. Have you ever seen him before Trump invited him to the White House to tape this, and record this and put it out on Forbes? Have you ever heard him speak like this? Now you know what a baby he is. Now you know he's misguided. He is not on a path to peace. He's on a path to complete annihilation of his own country while he pretends to defend it. And there's been a lot of arguments online from both sides. Obviously, we're so divided on this topic. People are feeling so sorry for him and that he was ganged up on. He's almost genociding his own country. It's no deal, right? Right now, it's no deal. And I think Trump has been extremely gracious in saying you can come back when you want to talk peace. But for now, we're done. We have cut the funding. Off you go. And then he's gone to be rescued like a little baby by Europe and running to the arms of Keir Starmer and Ursula von der Leyen and all the other European countries that are going to come to his defense over nothing, over a war that the West started, over a war that should have never been started in the first place, by expanding NATO. And now we get to see, we don't need the news. We don't need the news anymore. The only thing that I think we need the news for nowadays is just like local stories, right? Local car accident or local jam up on the bridge, or maybe like a local story of a kitten stuck in a tree and a fireman rescued her, or some maybe local crime, or those consumer stories where somebody got jilted, a senior got jilted out of money or whatever. Let the local news do that. Let them play in the kiddie pool. They need to stay out of the big kid game because they don't have the chops to tell you anything in the big kid political world. They're not reporting with any knowledge or transparency or truth. It's nothing but bias. Let them do the local yokel sports and the local weather, all the bullshit they do. Let them do that. But in terms of touching politics and health, I don't ever want to see any state-sanctioned press conferences where a phony health official like Bonnie Henry comes on TV to tell you what to do in a state-sanctioned press conference. Screw that. All independent now. All independent media. And I hope that if Polyev gets in, that's what's going to happen, because we're done. We're done with the networks and their bull and their lies. I can tell you firsthand, they are liars. Anyway, that was so refreshing to see. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll touch on some Canadian news in the week to come, and we'll catch you next time.